Hello everyone, I'm out here in my backyard again and I have another story to tell you, and this story is from Genesis again, like last week, a story of the Hebrew people told many years ago, many times I am sure, and it's the story about Abraham and Sarah, who I'm sure you've heard about. They are considered the ancestors of the Muslim and Christian and Jewish people. So Muslims and Christians and Jews think of Abraham and Sarah as their great times 1,000 grandparents, meaning they lived a long time ago. And Abraham and Sarah were called by God to travel to a new land, and they were promised that when they went to this new land, that they would have descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. And so when this story begins, Abraham and Sarah are very old, and they still don't have a child. So here we go. A mother of nations. God repeated the promise to Abram and Sarai many times. Each time it was the same promise. Each year it got harder and harder to believe the promise, because each year Sarai and Abram got older and older. One day God said to Abram, "Remember my promise, always remember, and because of my promise, I want you to change your name. Right now your name is Abram, which means important father, but from now on, your name will be Abraham, which means the father of many. And Sarai should change her name too. Call her Sarah, which means princess. Sarah will be the mother of many nations." Abraham told Sarah about his talk with God. "But how can that be?" he said. "I'm too old to be anybody's father." Then one day, when Sarah was working inside the tent and Abraham was sitting under a tree outside, they had some visitors. Sarah looked out through the door of the tent. "Are they sent by God?" she wondered. Abraham and Sarah were always kind to visitors when they came, so Sarah baked some bread and Abraham got some meat, and soon they had a nice meal ready. After the meal, while Abraham and the 3 visitors sat under the tree outside the tent, one of the visitors said something hard to believe. "I'll be coming back this way in about a year," he said. "By then, Sarah will have had a baby." Sarah was listening inside the tent. At first she just giggled a little at the idea of it. A woman, as old as a grandmother, having a baby. Then she started to laugh. She laughed so hard she could hardly stop. "Why is Sarah laughing?" said the man. "Is anything too hard for God?" "Oh, I didn't laugh," said Sarah. "You laughed all right," said the man. "But remember, a year from now, you'll have a baby." When they heard this, Sarah and Abraham both laughed until their sides ached. Then, one day it happened. Sarah became pregnant. Even though she was very old, she had a baby. She and Abraham were so happy as they looked at their tiny baby boy with his little fists and his tightly closed eyes. So they gave their baby a special name. They called him Isaac, which means laughter. God's promise was coming true after all. Sarah and Abraham knew this as they smiled at the little baby in their arms. They would become great grandparents, and all because of God's promise and a baby named Isaac, a baby named Laughter.